Our next guest is Jade Faulconbridge. I will ask Jade to introduce herself whilst we faff around with our laptops, please.
Hello. So I, Jade Faulconbridge, I am a marketing ops consultant. So I've been doing that for about 2.5 years. I primarily have clients within the finance industry, but I've also got random ones. So I've got a manufacturer that sells fridges. I've also done payroll and other random bits and bobs, but primarily finance. Before that, I was head of marketing ops for a finance business. I was there for about 5 years, and then a number of different jobs before that as well.
Awesome. And we're going to be talking to Jade about how to use data to influence, well, upwards, sideways, downwards, you name it. We want some influence with our data, don't we? But before we do that, Jade, we obviously ask everybody for a marketing confession. Is there something that you've fucked up that you're willing to share?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you about my shortest ever lived job. Because this was before I knew what stakeholder management was. And so I'm quite a direct person. I have learnt to not be as direct, but there was this one boss that I had who, it was a startup fintech type business, and he had a lot of people around him. So, you know, one of those ones where it's like, oh, I was talking to my nephew, he thinks we should do this, it's a really great idea. And it was like always one of them, you come in on a Monday, you're, oh God, who's he been talking to now? And I had this conversation with him on a Friday, and this was when like AI was just becoming a thing, and he was like, right, we need to use AI to write all of our content. Like SEO is going out the window. We're using AI. ChatGPT is going to do everything. We don't need to pay anyone. Blah blah blah. And I sat there and I was like, this is a terrible idea. And he was like, well, my mates told me it's a great idea, so I think we're going to do it. He was like, and my mate's got this. I think it was a video, I can't actually remember, but it was some form of like video business that he was like, yeah, this will get you to the top of Google, like all this type of stuff. So I sat in this meeting and I was like, look, this is a terrible idea. These are the reasons. You've hired me to tell you what you should be doing. So I was head of marketing at this point. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go away and think about it. Went back in on the Monday and he was like, yeah, I think we're done here.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so packed up my stuff and left.
Did you wipe that from LinkedIn?
God.
Yeah, that one
that's not on there.
Yeah, we don't talk about
we'll
this
talk
one.
about that Yeah. Jeez, just like over you pushing back on the, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Thank you, Jade, for sharing. Yeah. So now that we do know what stakeholder management is, let's talk about how to really influence people with data, because sometimes people don't care about data, which makes me sad, but it's true. So there's a few scenarios, right? So sometimes you're not in the room to have the conversation about why AI is a bad idea to begin with. But sometimes you are, and there's a way to present that, and there's a way to make it relevant for whoever is there. So can you kind of talk to us, I guess, about the approaches you've taken in presenting data and how they've made a difference, and whether certain approaches are better than others?
Yeah, so I think so for me, I'm a marketer that I'm massively into data. You know, I'm operations, I'm logical and pragmatic. I believe that marketing should be seen as a revenue generating team. Like, that's not just for sales. Marketing should have KPIs, we should have numbers, and we should be held accountable to them. So I think that's the starting point. It's what is the business trying to do? What are the numbers that they're trying to hit? And then what's the marketing part of that? So, you know, you do the funnel in terms of, you know, this is the overarching one. This is where, you know, the new business target. This is what I think marketing can contribute. So it might be, let's say, 10%, 20% of the leads or whatever. But getting that number, getting it agreed by the business, the stakeholders, and then again, going to Jake's point, like repeating that constantly and making sure people are aware of it, but also having the ability to show your progress towards those numbers as well. That is my number one recommendation. And there's so few people that actually do this. Like, we get, as marketers, so bogged down in the day-to-day, the churning out stuff, we forget actually what's the point of it, what's the point of this campaign, and was it successful? Was it not successful? Like,
So if I was to summarize, would you say report on the same numbers and then report over time on those same numbers?
yeah, make sure everybody knows the value of marketing and prove that value.
I would also say, I think, and this is maybe a controversial bit about, because we're talking about how to influence with data, do not start with data. That's not your starting point. The starting point is why you're doing the thing, and then how does the data you have back it up? Because I've walked into many a room with many a marketer where we're either one way or the other. We're either so on the side of like discussing brand and all these fabulous PR activations and things we're doing, that there's no data enters the conversation. We did a lot of nice stuff. Great, go us. What did we get? We don't know. Or we go the other way where we get sometimes our data doomsayer who is like, look at these numbers,
You're all fucking crazy.
and
That's an actual
neither
conversation I've had.
neither way is good. I think it's about taking that kind of more balanced approach, I think. But I absolutely agree with the consistency of the numbers and numbers over time, because again, that's something people generally who are quite senior tend to not understand when it comes to marketing, which is looking at numbers month on month, for example, not helpful. Like over a quarter, over 6 months, over a year, then we start to actually build up a data story. Like no good data scientist is ever going to say you should look at 2 data points from one day to the next. It's just not best practice.
Yeah, and you know, if you're starting a campaign, like specifically within B2B, it can take you 2 to 3 months to see any results. So reporting on that after 1 month, you're just going to lose like buy-in across the business.
Can I do a little hands up of who's B2B? Okay, cool, never mind. All good. We're right on topic. So I would like each of us to answer this question, like quick fire. What are the 3 numbers that you will take to the board every time?
Revenue generated, pipeline opportunities, return on investment.
Ooh. Yeah, same, but I would like a 4th.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously I do want conversion rate.
Yeah.
And there are others, but yeah, basically the same.
If you want to get extra spicy, get velocity in there as well.
Oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Always velocity. But yeah, Jade answered the question how we would answer the question, and that's why she's here.
No bias.
Nope.
Can I just ask, so on the revenue point, is that revenue that is generated from a marketing channel? Is that revenue that marketing's touched? Like, how are we defining that?
Oh, so this is where the whole attribution stuff comes in. So for me, I always recommend my clients do 2. So the direct attribution, so anything from campaigns that you can like claim, but also the indirect stuff as well. So this is harder, but basically, you know, if you're, so I had a client that sold like roofing tiles. So if they did a roofing tile campaign in January and then they still see an uplift in March, claim it, because if that's the only activity that you're doing, you should be saying, well, this is an influenced revenue number. So it's like it's having the both of them just to show the impact of marketing overall.
Cool. You happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we all lived in a perfect ideal world, we wouldn't need to worry about that attribution, because if sales and marketing are really aligned, we can just be like, this is the revenue team's.
But they're
But
like,
we
no,
don't live in that world.
don't take my leads, they're mine.
We have worked in companies where like 95% of revenue is marketing generated, so we don't even worry about the rest of it, basically.
Yeah,
So
that's a very rare situation. Can you talk us through a time for you where like data has either like really like driven home the message, so it's basically got buy-in for something you've been trying to do? Because I think that's sometimes really hard for people to like imagine a situation where you actually manage to turn a potentially toxic situation around into something quite positive using data.
Yeah, so I'm going to go, I think, way back to when I first got into marketing operations. So this, I reckon about 6 or 7 years ago now. So I started at, so it was a company called Equifax, a large financial business. I went in as a product marketer. We did loads of campaigns, and then I was like, right, so what leads have we got? And everyone was like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, we just, you know, do stuff? So at that time, I was like, okay, this is not okay. And I spent a lot of time and energy side of desk building out some form of reporting pipeline, speaking with sales team, figuring out what actually happens to these leads that we're sending. And at the time, the business was like, you're wasting your time, or what is the point? What are you doing? Because there was nobody that kind of had done that thing before. And it wasn't until a new boss, change of leadership came in, probably about 2 years later, that then they actually started looking at these numbers. And at that point, you know, I got 2 years worth of data, and they're like, okay, we can see the stuff that's impacting. And all of a sudden, people started looking, people started listening and going, okay, we need to do more of that. And that's how the marketing ops team then came to be developed.
Is this a lesson in basically it's okay to spend time sorting your CRM out and your data out? It's the thing that falls down the list so often. We go, oh, I've got all these other things to do, and I like constantly deprioritize sorting out my HubSpot or my Salesforce. And actually, if we did that, if we actually pushed that to the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased because I am marketing ops all day, but I think it's the foundations of what you're doing. If you haven't got good data, you haven't got technology that works and is usable, you haven't got the people with the right skills, and you haven't got a reporting like system in place, like you're just going to be doing stuff. Like, so yeah, for me, prioritize that.
Absolutely. And it's also a lesson in finding someone to back you. So
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
makes the whole lot of difference. So how can we as marketers use data to set some boundaries, to make people understand that we're not magicians? Have we got any good examples? I've got a bad example of this if we want to share as well.
I'm going to kind of dodge this question slightly,
Okay.
but I'm going to say that one of the biggest things that I've learned in my stakeholder management journey is not to say no. So you can imply no,
Very wise.
but using the word directly tends to get people's backups. So it's just tend to, you know, it's quite a politician angle, but it's like, oh, that's a really interesting idea. Tell me more about that. Why do you think we should do that? Do you think we should prioritise this over that? Or so it's kind of like you get to the point where...
Should we package it as like, be curious?
Yeah. Be curious so they can realise that it's a shit idea.
Okay.
I like that.
I've got the bad version of this example. So I worked with a company that was VC funded and they were trying to sell their product, and they have a product that they sold and it sold pretty well. It was decent. It was like a margin play. So I put together a marketing plan with like budget and targets according to that. And then I go into this meeting and there's like 3 dudes there. And I think they all smoked crack before they showed up to the meeting, just so you know, because they were suggesting that they're going to like triple the company's revenue with a product they've never sold before this year. And I was like, guys, like, I don't
Sometimes you need delusional energy,
what's
Rita.
happening. Well, we all got fired 6 months later because they ran out of money, so should have listened to me. I still worked there afterwards, but I think I really damaged my street cred because I was literally like, are you guys okay? Like, were you looking at the same spreadsheet here? This is insane. So don't do that. But it was very satisfying when they ran out of money. So whatever.
I think they call it blue sky thinking.
But yeah.
Yeah. So should we do some questions, please?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. How do you kind of establish what metrics are right for you? So I know every business is different, they have different goals. I'm in the process of reporting and trying to build up, you know, something that I can track every month. I want to get the right numbers. There's millions of numbers I track, but like which ones to focus on a use case. If that makes sense.
So is this to present to senior leaders or is it for your own team?
Well, internally I hold a lot of numbers, but it's like, how can I take that to the CEO and just show, okay, this is everything, the pool, you know, the whole bracket of marketing and one vision.
So CEOs tend to have a really short attention span. So I would say keep it to the 3 or 4 numbers that we talked about. They will understand them. You don't need to have to explain it. You don't need to explain the marketing. And it's simple things as well. Like I have people who will go, we need to go into all this SEO, all the channel specifics. They're not interested in that. All they need to know is the top level numbers. Then you've got maybe your marketing director who wants to know the campaign numbers as well. But the actual channels and the specific activities, keep it in your marketing team. It's too much information for them.
Yeah, and you are also setting yourself up for, like, if you go into channel numbers in particular, people being like, oh, well, that channel doesn't perform.
Yeah.
But like in the example of like PPC and SEO or organic traffic, if you want to talk about that, you know, we know that there is a benefit to both, like they help each other. So it's like, we don't want to start allowing the CEO to make comments on what channel performs. So yeah, stick to the big top line numbers. And then also, I think for all B2B businesses, conversions, whether that's converting people into a demo booked or into like leads generated or whatever it might be, that's always going to be in there, I would say, no matter what your business is, even if you're selling enterprise and you can't convert people on the website per se.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rush you.
No, it's fine.
You're just like, the other thing that I think is really powerful is showing the quality of the things that you do bring in. So for example, looking at how long the customer stays, how much they've spent with you, how much issues have they had, because there usually is a difference between the leads marketing brings and the lead sales brings. So you can kind of show yourself in a really good light and be like, hey, we should spend more money because we get better customers. That's always going to be a good story to tell you, to tell them. Hopefully that is the story there as well. So don't tell them the opposite.
Just on that as well. So I had a client recently who did their first ever dashboard, and they did it just before I started working with them, and they were showing me these numbers, and I was like, guys, please do not show this anywhere else. Nobody wants to know that it costs you $4,000 to get a lead.
Oh, girl, yeah.
No.
No, it's like let's work on these numbers first before we tell people about it.
Anyone else?
Just on the thing about channels, so I totally get that you don't want to go into channel specifics
Mm-hmm.
with the CEO. Totally on board there. Say you wanted to really increase investment in one particular channel.
Yeah.
Say like you knew that you wanted to start doing events, or you knew that you wanted to spend 10 times more on PPC. Is there a good way of doing that? Because you're obviously going to need investment from a C-suite, or if it's for a specific channel, but you don't want to get bogged down in now they want to analyze the 5 other channels at the same time kind of thing.
You want to go first? Oh,
Yeah,
my
so
mic's
I
dead.
think one of the conversations I'm having quite a lot at the minute is around attribution, because it is so hard now, like doing direct attribution to say this specific channel got us this. And I think we can make a rod for our own backs. Like it doesn't work how it used to work. And I think the expectation internally is still that we can make that direct correlation. So the conversation I'm having is very much take a step back and look at the campaign, the overall what it was that you were trying to do. And if you're having those conversations with the CFO or CRO or whoever that might be, they shouldn't have an input in the channels that you're using to get there. So long as your campaign is performing and they're happy and they can see the return and the numbers on the spreadsheet, it's ultimately up to you as marketers to pick what channels and the investments that goes into. Now, obviously that's a harder conversation internally, but I think there's an education piece in that attribution and marketing reports, it just doesn't work how it used to do, how it used to work.
Yeah, agreed. I think, so I have an economics degree, so hence why I like spreadsheets probably. But there is some, economics has spent a long time in creating statistical models that predict things. And with the invention of AI, we can now do very complicated math as long as we know what that thing is called. So some of the things that I've been able to do is basically feed in channel performance information and customer lifecycle journeys, and then it can basically give you the correlations from channel to customer, and then it can also model to you, hey, if we increase the spending here, what would that look like on that channel, but also how would it affect other channels? So if anyone wants to nerd out and talk about that, I can give you more details on what like the regression models are called and that kind of thing. But that could be something cool to like start looking at as yourself, and then maybe kind of build out into your presentations or whatever you need to get stuff signed off.
So are you saying like a marketer could take their Google Analytics data and
Yeah.
put that into ChatGPT, or do you need to be smart like you to do it?
No. You just need to know what the statistical models are called, and then ask it to figure it out given the data you're going to give it. So yeah, it just need to know what it is. Attila?
Can I have a question as well, please?
Yeah.
So Jade, when it comes to attribution, I think Winter.com came out with a study last year that 97% of B2B buyers will touch a website at some point throughout their journey. where do you draw the line in marketing, in revenue attributed to marketing? As in, like, what's, you know,
You should say that he's in sales.
at some point they will be interacting with content, they will see an ad, they will land on a landing page and a website. So, what is for
He's in sales, it's a trap.
It's like they're going to come to the site anyway. So.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, for a report to a CEO, where do you draw the line of what makes sense that this revenue would have never touched a business without marketing?
I would say if anybody doesn't believe marketing works, turn everything off, wait 6 months and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Like marketing is a slow burn. Like it takes a while for things to kick in. So anything that you're seeing, the content that people are looking at, the traffic that you're getting, probably is a result of years, months worth of work. So I think it's a case of there's a bit of faith there, but also, you know, there's a reason that marketing does these things.
Also, like, we know how you got to the website. So, like, we know what keywords you search to get there. We know if you, so for example, if there is a lot of brand search and that's the first time someone hits the website with brand search, we know they must have found out about us somewhere else. So, like, that's one type of traffic versus, like, I need a conversion improving tool. That's, like, a different type of thing. So there is, like, we do have knowledge in that.
Yeah, and it's things like, it's the same conversation around how do we know events work? Because events are really notoriously hard to add value to, but we know from sales conversations, and I've seen it myself, if I go and network, I get more business from doing that, but I can't specifically say it's from X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, I think it just really strengthens the argument that is, you know, like, especially in B2B, it's really hard to sell shit. And if you don't do marketing and sales properly, you don't sell shit. So it's like, for me, it just highlights the fact that the sales and the marketing teams need to come together as one revenue or go-to-market team, whatever you want to call it, and that the metrics and the KPIs that we all measure, that we're all held accountable to, are the same. Because attribution sucks.
Thank you, Jade.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.